Hello. What's going on? Hello, everyone. How we doing? It's been a while since we did a Game of Thrones read. Man, life has been busy. Sheesh, amundo. But we're getting back into it. I have read 2 chapters on my own. Right now we have... Let me find... We're going to do the Eddard chapter, and then right after that is the Catelyn chapter, which a bunch of people said was good. And then maybe we'll probably just do 2 chapters. That's my guess. But that's the deal today. Yeah, that's the deal. I have a theory Westeros is actually Charn before its fall, when the White Witch uttered the deplorable... I don't know what that means. I don't know what Charn is. I think that's a Narnia reference. It feels spoilery, so I wish I didn't read that. What's up, guys? What's up? How's it going? Misty Step. What's going on? Ebbe, welcome to the first live read. Michael, you can't put really in there. Not really spoilery. There's a spoiler and there's not spoiler. Even though some things I guess are like, I just don't know what that means until I read it. Still, that's a little spoilery. I don't want spoilers of anything. I just want to enjoy a first time read. The chapters I'm going to be reading today, I just mentioned it, are the Eddard chapter. So I gotta label these chapters: the Eddard chapter and the Catelyn chapter. So it's like 20-ish pages of reading. I'm pretty pumped. I haven't done a live read of this in almost a month, so I'm kind of excited. Yeah, but it's gonna be spoiled by the first book, but I haven't read really the first book yet, so it's still just a spoiler. But yeah, those are the chapters we're going to read. Apparently the Catelyn chapters are good. Catelyn is a really interesting character. Not one of my favorite characters. I don't hate her, but she's just an interesting character. Making a lot of really interesting moves. Questionable moves. Ned, and one of the things that I like to in this is when I was watching the show, everyone was making video essays about how dumb Ned is. I don't think he's that dumb. I don't think he's like the smartest. I don't think he's playing a Game of Thrones. He seems to be above playing a Game of Thrones. Or the Game of Thrones. But he just seems like... He seems pretty smart. In the last chapter that I read of him, he seems to have like things kind of under... Not under control, but like he was asking the right questions to Pycelle. Like he seemed like he knew what was going on. Like he seemed like a good commander. So I really like that about him. That was like the first chapter where I was like, he's got it. He's got something. The wheels are turning. Quinn the GM has a good video on his choices as hand. Interesting. I would love that. I think people think he's dumb because he didn't think politically, but he just values other things. Exactly. That's kind of my point too. I think he's not really playing the game. He just seems like he wants to be honorable and have an honorable realm, which maybe is naive. Maybe he's more naive, but I don't think he's really naive. I feel like he knows things that are going on. I feel like he's very unnaive. He beheads people. How can you be naive when you're beheading people? These are great insights into what kind of black brother Jon would be in the Night's Watch. Wait, those three? Those 3 are great insights into what kind of black brother Jon would be in the Night's Watch. What do you mean? Ned values human life. Totally. Sorry, I'm blowing a little bit of dust off my desk. Ooh, the next 3 Jon chapters. Excellent. Okay, sweet. Wait, so you're saying, what was that comment? Read the next 3. When you get the chance, read the next 3 John chapters live. Okay. What's the next? Okay, that'll be good. When is the next John? So we have a Sansa after that, and an Eddard. A lot of Eddard chapters lately. They're long. Tyrion. I'm not back to John for a while. Arya. Eddard. Catelyn. Dang, we don't hit a John chapter for a while. Eddard. John's been left in the dust. Daenerys has been left in the dust too. Bran. Tyrion. What the heck? Are we just not going to get a John chapter for another 100 pages? Eddard. Catelyn. John! There we go. He's back. Tyrion. Eddard. Sansa. Man, not a lot of John chapters. That's kind of crazy. There's literally like almost 200 pages until we get another John chapter. 190. That's crazy. Yeah, he's just having a training montage off screen. Honestly, totally. So we spent a large amount of time, and then in the Song of Ice and Fire, 30 parts of YouTube. I love hearing your thoughts when you read the dreams and stuff for the first time. It is so fascinating. Like, again, I've talked about this. I feel like all my videos now are just looking into like the prophetic kind of writing and the dreams and just how weird and funky they are. I feel like it's a little less literary critique, which I usually do, but they're just too interesting. Like, I don't know of many writers who are writing like that. I know writers, obviously, who do foreshadowing and who do little hints, and they're like mystery writers. This feels like something different. Like, I've never really read a book like this. That it's just... everything just feels so steeped in prophecy. But at the same time, it doesn't feel overwhelming. You know? It, like, feels still manageable to read it. So, it's great. Great stuff. Really great stuff. Oh no, it's like 150. Sorry. In the first Catelyn chapter, she thinks about how he always asks about the children first. His priority is his children. Yeah, totally. I think Ned's. I want to do I don't know if I can understand some of the characters quite yet. Like, after book 1, I might honestly do an analysis on all the major characters, like a video per character, and just talk about what's their motivation, what they want, what's their driving force, as far as I understand from book 1. That'll probably change as I read the rest of the books, but I think that'd be an interesting exercise just to understand the characters more, because Ned is one of those where I don't fully understand what his motivation is. I think it's for the Starks. I think it's not necessarily for his kids, but for his family. Which is part of his family. His kids are part of his family, obviously. It's like it's not even like the name. It's not even like the putting forth of the name. Because if that was the case, he would have wanted to become king. He's he's not overly ambitious. He just wants to protect the family. But honestly, he needs to protect the family in does he need to protect the family by becoming a higher up, like the Hand of the King? Even higher than that, the King? I don't know. I don't think so. Have I completed a Game of Thrones fully? Nope. A third of the way through it? That's as far as I am. Ned's priority is just protecting children. It's all children. Except for the turd Joffrey. A little spoiled kid. It's interesting that that's Ned's, because he does a great job with Arya. I wonder how much foresight Ned is going to have into who Joffrey is as a character. Because he seems like he is putting her in harm's way by bringing her to King's Landing like this. In this Ned chapter, we will hear about a fan favorite character for the first time. Ooh, love that. I'm pumped. He agreed to become Hand because Catelyn told him refusing would put his kids in danger. Yeah. Yeah. I have seen House of the Dragon and A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms. Yep. Really loved A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms. I like House of the Dragon too. I think it's a good show. I liked season 2 better than most people liked it. But I'm excited for season 3. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Do you know the spoilers ahead of time just in the Game of Thrones or some parts of the whole series? I don't really know the whole series that much. Like this book a few chapters ago mentioned how Rhaenyra dies. I think it mentioned how Rhaenyra dies. Or how one of the other dragons dies, and I kind of forgot it already. But I know the spoilers just based on the show. So that's all I know of the spoilers. So like, I think people say that the first book, I mean, what do you guys think about this assessment? The first book is, or the first season of a Game of Thrones is a good adaptation, or like a sufficient adaptation. And then the rest of it, apparently, it just gets worse as it goes on. Like, it's not that faithful of an adaptation. They just kind of took some of the major points. That's kind of what I keep hearing. So as I pass over book 1 and I'm done with book 1, then as I get into the other ones, we're going to see, I think the videos will be more interesting for my like first time understanding, because I think it's just going to be more like bookish thoughts, which I like more than just comparing it to the show or what I've seen in the show. Attila, what's up? Have you seen the new Rings of Power Sauron image in the Cracks of Doom? There's a new one. No, I'll look it up right now. Cracks of Doom. You're gonna send that in the Discord if you can, because I'm just getting generic images here. I don't want to look anything up. I'm yawny today. Never seen more than 3 episodes years ago. Season 2 is close, but Dany's story is very different in the books. Nemo, I didn't know it was happening until an hour ago either. I had time and I was like, let's just do it. So there you go. I need to go back and sharpen my pencils again. It's about that time. You saw 3 flies go into my mouth? What? A Game of Thrones is almost fully adapted in season 1, with only minor name characters being reduced to nameless cameos. Oh, cameos. But starting from book 2, there really are a lot of plot lines and details absent in the show. Good. That's kind of what I'm looking for. It's the announcement picture for season 3. Ooh. Excellent. Oh, the Rhaenyra thing was spoiled in the Hedge Knight. Yeah. Maybe that's where it was. I remember reading that. There was another spoiler in the books. Maybe about, I don't think it was about Daemon. Maybe it was about the Bloodworm. Maybe it's about how Daemon's or no, was it about how Rhaegar, or no, what the heck is Vhagar? Maybe it was about how Vhagar dies. That's the huge dragon's name, right? Vhagar. Names in this, it's gonna take me a while to get names in this better. Yeah, Joffrey does spoil everything in the show. Her dragon ate her, or something like that. He says some weird little annoying line. Vhagar. Yeah, there was some kind of like sentence spoiler in this book that kind of caught me off guard. Season 1 loses a bit of the meaning behind some characters and sometimes creates threads that they don't go anywhere because they don't know what was going to happen. Yeah, very true. Very, very valid. When I started filming season 1, all the books that are currently released. Like, he hasn't written a book in 15 years, right? So Game of Thrones published longer than 15 years ago. Book 3 is the best. Interesting. Yeah. What do you guys think is the best book? I've heard. What is book 3? Winds of Winter? No, Winds of Winter is the next book that's coming out, right? What's it? A Storm of Crows? Bigger as the old lady dragon. Largest after Balerion. Storm of Swords, that's it. Tyrion in season 4 gets that treatment. Interesting, okay. A Feast of Crows. A Storm of Crows. I'm just going to mix up all a Game of Crows. All the titles are going to get mixed up and swapped. Also, everyone like the stream. Like the stream. Fire and Blood is 2018. Interesting. Murderer Crows would be a good title. All right, we're going to start reading. Put some lotion on my hands. All right, everyone. This is the Eddard chapter. I'm probably just going to do 2 chapters. I think that's the game plan. To do 2 chapters. They're like pretty... They seem like kind of hefty chapters. Like good length. They're not like super short. So it'll probably take us an hour and a half or so with all my pauses and discussions. Ooh, 1 a Game of Thrones, 2 a Clash of Kings, 3 Storm of Swords, Clash of Kings again, 4 a Dance of Dragons, 5. Storm of Swords is Behemoth book needing season 3 and 4 for the show. Interesting. Storm of Swords seems good. I'm excited for a Storm of Swords. A Storm of Swords. All right, here we go. Eddard. I forget which Eddard chapter this is. This is probably like 5. It's the hands, Tourney. That's the cause of all the trouble, my lords. The commander of the City Watch complained to the King's Council. The King's Tourney, Ned corrected, wincing. Who is the commander of the City Watch right now? Maybe I feel like I should know that. The King's Tourney, Ned corrected, wincing. I assure you, the hand wants no part of it. Call it what you will, my lord. Knights have been arriving from all over the realm. And for every knight we get 2 free riders, 3 craftsmen, 6 men-at-arms, 12 merchants, 24 whores, and more thieves than I dare guess. This cursed heat had half the city in a fever to start. And now with all these visitors, last night we had drowning. We had a drowning, a tavern riot, 3 knife fights, a rape, 2 fires, robberies beyond count, and a drunken horse race down the streets of the sisters. Yikes. The night before, a woman's head was found in the Great Sept, floating in the rainbow pool. And no one seems to know how it got there or who it belongs to. Oh my gosh. That's not good. Rest in peace. How dreadful, Varys said with a shudder. Lord Renly Baratheon was less sympathetic. If you cannot keep the king's peace, Janos, perhaps the City Watch should be commanded by someone who can. Janos, okay. Janos is the City Watch commander. Stout. Slowly. Janos Slynt puffed himself up like an angry frog, his bald pate reddening. Aegon the dragon himself could not keep the peace, Lord Renly. I need more men. How many? Ned asked, leaning forward. As ever, Robert had not troubled himself to attend the council session, so it fell to his hand to speak for him. As many as can be gotten, Lord Hand. Hire 50 new men, Ned told him. Lord Baelish will see that you get the coin. I will? Littlefinger said. You will. You found 40,000 golden dragons for a champion's purse. Surely you can scrape together a few coppers to keep the king's peace. Ned turned back to Janos Slynt. I will also give you 20 good swords from my own household guard to serve the watch until the crowds have left. All thanks, Lord Hand, Slint said, bowing. I promise you, they shall be put to good use. When the commander had taken his leave, Eddard Stark turned to the rest of the council. The sooner this folly is done with, the better I shall like it. As if the expense and trouble were not irksome enough. And all and sundry insisted on salting Ned's wounds by calling it the Hand's tourney, as if he were the cause of it. And Robert honestly seemed to think he should feel honored. This is the last thing that Ned wants. This is like, Janos. Okay. Janos. This is the last thing that Ned wants. This is like someone singing happy birthday to me on my birthday. It's the last thing I want. Janos is a Hungarian name. Like Sandor. Interesting. Janos was a Greek god of two faces. That's Janus. Lots of confusing characters here. The realm prospers from such events, my lord, Grand Maester Pycelle said. They bring the great the chance of glory, and the lowly respite from their woes. And put coins in many a pocket, Littlefinger added. Every inn in the city is full, and the whores are walking bow-legged and jingling with each step. Lord Renly laughed. We're very fortunate, my brother. Stannis is not with us. Remember the time he proposed to outlaw brothels? The king asked him if he'd like to outlaw eating, shitting, and breathing while he was at it. If truth be told, I oftentimes wondered how Stannis ever got that ugly daughter of his. What's her name? I don't like anybody talking poorly about her. She's the best character in the entire TV series. I forgot her name. My memory is a miracle sometimes. If truth be told, I oftentimes wonder how Stannis ever got that ugly daughter of his. He goes to his marriage bed like a man marching to a battlefield with a grim look in his eyes and a determination to do his duty. Ned had not joined the laughter. I wonder about your brother Stannis as well. I wonder when he intends to end his visit to Dragonstone and resume his seat at the council. No doubt as soon as we've scourged all those whores in the sea, Littlefinger replied, provoking more laughter. I have heard quite enough about whores for one day, Ned said, rising. Until tomorrow. Harwin had the door when Ned returned to the Tower of the Hand. Summon Jory to my chambers, and tell your father to saddle my horse. Ned told him, too brusquely. As you say, my lord. The Red Keep and the Hand's tourney were chafing him raw, Ned reflected as he climbed. He yearned for the comfort of Catelyn's arms, for the sounds of Robb and Jon crossing swords in the practice yard, for the cool days and cold nights of the north. In his chambers, he stripped off his council silks and sat for a moment with the book while he waited for Jory to arrive. The lineages and histories of the great houses of the Seven Kingdoms, with descriptions of many high lords and noble ladies and their children, by Grand Maester Malion. Pycelle had spoken truly. It made for ponderous reading. Yet Jon Arryn had asked for it, and Ned felt certain he had reasons. There was something here, some truth buried in these brittle yellow pages, if only he could see it. But what? The tome was over a century old. Scarcely a man alive now had yet been born when Malion had compiled his dusty list of weddings, births, and deaths. He opened the section on the House Lannister once more, and turned the pages slowly, hoping against hope that something would leap out at him. The Lannisters were an old family, tracing their descent back to Lan the Clever. Oh, interesting. Lan the Clever. A trickster from the Age of Heroes, who was no doubt as legendary as Bran the Builder, though far more beloved of singers and tale-tellers. In the songs, Lan was the fellow who winkled? What is that word? Winkled the Casterlys out of Casterly Rock with no weapon but his wits, and stole gold from the sun to brighten his curly hair. Ned wished he were here now, to winkle the truth out of this damnable book. Winkled. I haven't heard that word before. Oh, Shireen. Ah, Shireen, the best. Long live Shireen. Man. On my second watch of the show, that was one of the moments I cried, teared up, watching it with a friend, and I was quietly sobbing after I watched that episode. Oh, it's so terrible. Winkled, the Casterlys out of Casterly Rock. Interesting that I never really considered that the Casterlys were in Casterly Rock. I don't even know who the Casterlys are. They're gone and dead. Like Wheedled, but more with an edge. All right, let's keep reading. A sharp rap on the door heralded Jory Cassell. Ned closed Malian's tome and bid him enter. I've promised the city watch 20 of my guard until the tourney is done, he told him. I rely on you to make the choice. Give Alan the command, and make certain the men understand that they are needed to stop fights, not start them. Rising, Ned opened a cedar chest and removed a light linen under tunic. Did you find the stable boy? The watchman, my lord, Jory said. He vows he'll never touch another horse. What did he have to say? He claims he knew Lord Aaron well. Fast friends they were, Jory snorted. The hand always gave the lads a copper on their name day, he says. Had a way with horses, never rode his mounts too hard, and brought them carrots and apples, so they were always pleased to see him. Carrots and apples, Ned repeated. It sounded as if this boy would be even less use than the others. And he was the last of the 4 Littlefinger had turned up. Jory had spoken to each of them in turn. Sir Hugh had been brusque and uninformative, and arrogant as only a new-made knight can be. If the hand wished to talk to him, he should be pleased to receive him, but he would not be questioned by a mere captain of guards, even if said captain was 10 years older and 100 times the swordsman. The serving girl had at least been pleasant. She said Lord John had been reading more than was good for him, that he was troubled and melancholy over his young son's frailty, and gruff with his lady wife. The pot boy, now a cordwainer, had never exchanged so much as a word with Lord John, but he was full of oddments, of kitchen gossip. The lord had been quarreling with the king. The lord only picked at his food. The lord was sending his boy to be fostered on Dragonstone. The lord had taken a great interest in the breeding of hunting hounds. The lord had visited a master armorer to commission a new suit of plate, wrought all in pale silver, with a blue jasper falcon and a mother of pearl moon on the breast. The king's own brother had gone with him to help choose the design. The potboy said, No, not Lord Renly. The other one, Lord Stannis. Did our watchman recall anything else of note? The lad swears Lord John was as strong as a man half his age. Often went riding with Lord Stannis, he says. Interesting. He goes riding with Stannis a lot. So did he figure out this whole thing and then potentially go and tell Stannis? Interesting. I mean, they probably were just friends, but that's an interesting little insight. Stannis again, Ned thought. He found that curious. Jon Arryn and he had been cordial, but never friendly. And while Robert had been riding north to Winterfell, Stannis had removed himself to Dragonstone, the Targaryen island fastness he had conquered in his brother's name. He had given no word as to when he might return. Where do they go on these rides? Ned asked. No, that's interesting because he definitely knows now because he goes to Dragonstone because he's next in line. A lot of hints of those things back and forth. I once saw a pronunciation of that name, Agamemnon. Is it Agamemnon or Agamemnon? That's the question. Agamemnon? Agamemnon, number 1. Agamemnon, number 2. Let me know what it is in the chat. The second, Agamemnon. Agamemnon. Agamemnon kind of sounds cool, though. All right. The boy says they visited a brothel. A brothel, Ned said. The Lord of the Eyrie and Hand of the King visited a brothel with Stannis Baratheon? He shook his head, incredulous, wondering what Lord Renly would make of this tidbit. Robert's lusts were the subject of ribald drinking songs throughout the realm. But Stannis was a different sort of man, a bare year younger than the king, yet utterly unlike him, stern, humorless, unforgiving, grim in his sense of duty. I have a feeling I gotta kind of gonna come to like Stannis a little bit. Weirdly, I think Stannis and Ned would probably get along. The boy insists it's true. The Hand took 3 guardsmen with him, and the boy says that they were joking of it when he took their horses afterward. Which brothel, Ned asked. The boy did not know. The guards would. A pity Lysa carried them off to the Vale, Ned said dryly. The gods are doing their best to vex us. Lady Lysa, Maester Coleman, Lord Stannis, everyone who might actually know the truth of what happened to Jon Arryn is 1,000 leagues away. Ned should go to Dragonstone right now. Like, I know that he has duties, but this is maybe a greater duty. It's not necessarily a greater duty. He's got to keep the realm afloat, because if he goes, sheesh, that's going to be a mess. But I feel like they need to immediately either bring back Stannis. He needs to have a conversation with Stannis. Algernon rather than Agamemnon. Agamemnon. I like that Stannis goes to Dragonstone because he knows the heir to the Iron Throne during the Targaryen reign always dwelt in Dragonstone. Yeah, exactly. Like, he's going there because he knows probably that Joffrey's a little illegitimate son. Wait, what's my Hungarian name? I must have missed that comment. I'm missing a few comments. Gotta scroll up. Another fun fact. John in English equals Janos in Hungarian. And Sandor is Alexander. Sandor is Alexander. That's kind of true. Sandor. Janos. So call me Janos for now on. Everyone, anytime you're in the chat, just call me Janos. Everyone also like the stream. But call me Janos. General, what's up? That's why Robert gave him Dragonstone. Does Robert know that Joffrey's an illegitimate, is not his real son? Janos. Everyone call me Janos. Yeah, Dragonstone doesn't feel like that far away, right? It's like just right across the sea. It'd be like what would it be, like a day boat ride or something? I wonder if Robert knows. No, Stannis got it before Joffrey was born because Stannis was the heir at the time. Interesting. But he's going back there, and it's kind of like, it seems like an insight into like why he would go back there at this time. Will you summon Lord Stannis back from Dragonstone? Not yet, Ned said. Not until I have a better notion of what this is all about and where he stands. The matter nagged at him. Why did Stannis leave? Had he played some part in Jon Arryn's murder? Or was he afraid? Ned found it hard to imagine what could frighten Stannis Baratheon, who had once held Storm's End through a year of siege, surviving on rats and boot leather while the Lords Tyrell and Red Wine sat outside with their hosts, banqueting in sight of his walls. Oh my gosh. Just for that alone, I kind of love Stannis. That's incredible. Honestly, Stannis... I don't know if Stannis would be a good king. He seems like a Baratheon. They seem like he's the opposite of Robert, but also exactly the same. They're a war family. They thrive in war. I don't know if he would be a good king after that. I don't know. Bring me my doublet, if you would. The gray, with the direwolf sigil. I want this armor to know who I am. It might make him more forthcoming. Jory went to the wardrobe. Lord Renly is brother to Lord Stannis as well as the king. Yet it seems that he was not invited on these rides. Ned was not sure what to make of Renly, with all his friendly ways and easy smiles. A few days passed. He had taken Ned aside to show him an exquisite rose gold locket. Inside was a miniature painted in the vivid Myrish style of a lovely young girl with doe's eyes and a cascade of soft brown hair. Renly had seemed anxious to know if the girl reminded him of anyone. And when Ned had no answer but a shrug, he had seemed disappointed. The maid was Loras Tyrell's sister, Marjorie. Yes. He'd confessed, but there were those who said she looked like Lyanna. Interesting! The maid was Loras Tyrell's sister. Miniature painted in the vivid Myrish style of a lovely young girl with doe's eyes and a cascade of soft brown hair. Renly had seemed anxious to know if the girl reminded him of anyone. Wait, what am I missing here? So Renly has this thing. He took Ned aside to show him an exquisite gold rose locket. Inside, Renly seemed anxious to know if the girl reminded him of anyone, and when Ned had no answer but a shrug, he had been disappointed. The maid was Loras Tyrell's sister, Marjorie, he'd confessed, but there were those who said she looked like Lyanna. No, Ned had told him, bemused. Could it be that Lord Renly, who looked so like young Robert, had conceived a passion for a girl he fancied to be a young Lyanna? Interesting. That struck him as more than passing queer. Interesting. I really do like the Baratheons. I mean, like, Robert is not a great king, but I don't mind the Baratheons. They're kind of my favorite, other than the Starks. Which is like it's about the Baratheons, the Starks, and the Lannisters right now. You can pick one of the three families that you actually like. I kind of like the Baratheons. They're a cool family. That would be a stroke of good fortune, my lord, Jory said. Ned buckled on a longsword. In other words, not bloody likely. His smile was grim. Oh no, he said, sorry, I missed a paragraph. Jory held up the doublet, and Ned slid his hands through the armholes. Perhaps Lord Stannis will return for Robert's tourney, he said, as Jory laced the garment up the back. That would be a stroke of fortune, my lord, Jory said. Ned buckled on a longsword. In other words, not bloody likely. His smile was grim. Jory draped Ned's cloak across his shoulders and clasped it at the throat with the hand badge of the officer. Hand badge of office. Sorry, with the hands badge of office. The armorer lives above his shop, in a large house at the top of the street of steel. Alan knows the way, my lord. Ned nodded. The gods help this potboy if he sent me off harring after shadows. It was a slim enough staff to lean on, but the Jon Arryn that Ned Stark had known was not the one to wear jeweled and silver plate. Steel was steel. It was meant for protection, not ornament. He might have changed his views, to be sure. He would scarcely have been the first man who came to look on things differently after a few years at court, but the change was marked enough to make Ned wonder. Is there any other service I might perform? I suppose you'd best begin visiting whorehouses. Hard duty, my lord, Jory grinned. The men will be glad. Porter has made a fair start already. Or Porther. Ned's favorite horse was saddled and waiting in the yard. Varley and Jax fell in beside him as he rode through the yard. Their steel caps and shirts of mail must have been sweltering. Yet they said no word of complaint. As Lord Eddard passed beneath the king's gate into the stink of the city, his gray and white cloak streaming from his shoulders, he saw eyes everywhere, and kicked his mount into a trot. His guard followed. He looked behind him frequently as they made their way through the crowded city streets. Tomard and Desmond had left the castle early this morning to take up positions on the route they must take, and watch for anyone's following. But even so, Ned was uncertain. The shadow of the king's spider and his little birds had him fretting like a maiden on her wedding night. The street of steel began at the market square beside the river gate. It was named on maps, or the mud gate, as was commonly called. A mummer on stilts was striding through the throngs like some great insect, with a horde of barefoot children trailing beside him, hooting. Elsewhere, 2 ragged boys no older than Bran were dueling with sticks, to the loud encouragement of some and the furious curses of others. An old woman ended the contest by leaning out of her window and emptying a bucket of slop on the heads of the combatants. In the shadows of the wall, farmers stood beside their wagons, bellowing out, "Apples, the best apples, cheap at twice the price." And blood melons, sweet as honey. And turnips, onions, roots, here you go, turnips, onions, roots, here you go. The mudgate was open, and a squad of city watchmen stood under the portcullis with their golden cloaks leaning on spears. When a column of riders appeared from the west. Ooh, okay, side question that I would be curious to know about. What is your guys' favorite weapon in all of just the world? I was thinking about this yesterday because I saw a trailer for The Mandalorian and Grogu. And honestly, one of my favorite weapons of all time is the Beskar spear. Even though that's not what you should do with Beskar, I love a good spear. I love that the city watchmen here are just kind of like leaning on their spears. I don't know why, but I just love a good spear. What is your guys' favorite weapon of all time? As I keep reading, answer that question. When a column of riders appeared in the west, the guardsmen sprang into action, shouting commands and moving the carts and foot traffic aside to let the knight enter with his escort. The first rider through the gate carried a long black banner. The silk rippled in the wind like a living thing. Across the fabric was blazoned a night sky slashed with purple lightning. "Make way for Lord Beric," the rider shouted. "Make way for Lord Beric." And close behind came the young lord himself, a dashing figure on a black courser, with red gold hair, and a black satin cloak dusted with stars. "Here to fight in the hands tourney, my lord," a guardsman called out to him. "Here to win the hands tourney," Lord Beric shouted as the crowd cheered. Ned turned off the square, where the street of steel began, and followed its winding path up a long hill, past blacksmiths working at open forges, free riders haggling over mail shirts, and grizzled ironmongers selling old blades and razors from their wagon. The farther they climbed, the larger the buildings grew. The man they wanted was all the way up at the top of the hill, in a huge house of timber and plaster, whose upper stories loomed over the narrow streets. The double doors showed a haunting scene carved in ebony and weirwood. A pair of stone knights stood sentry at the entrance, armored in fanciful suits of polished red steel that transformed them into griffin and unicorn. Ned left his horse with Jax and shouldered his way inside. All right. Dark Sister. Yes, is another spear lover. Give me real or fantasy. You could do real or fantasy. Winchester 73. The gun that won the West. Fire 17 rounds without reloading. Man, that's crazy. Urumi. Whip swords. Is that Is that are those the ones in Kung Fu Panda? It's absurd that I think it's a movie reference. Kung Fu Panda. Katanas are pretty sick. Love a good katana. What about fantasy swords or sci-fi weapons? Honestly, there's some good ones that have come out recently. I like Paul Atreides' knife, his little weapon. Anyway, the slim young serving girl took quick note of Ned's badge and sigil on his doublet. And the master came hurrying out, all smiles and bows. Wine for the king's hand, he told the girl, gesturing Ned to a couch. I am Tobo Mott, my lord. Please, please, put yourself at ease. He's a poet and doesn't even know it. Please, please, put yourself at ease. And he's going to tell the whole story in limericks. Lightsaber is a great pick, honestly. Which lightsaber, though? I'm partial to Qui-Gon's lightsaber. He wore a black velvet coat with hammers embroidered on the sleeves in silver thread. Around his neck was a heavy silver chain and a sapphire as large as a pigeon's egg. If you are in need of new arms for the hands, Torny, you have come to the right shop. Ned did not bother to correct him. My work is costly, and I make no apologies for that, my lord, he said, as he filled 2 matching silver goblets. You will not find craftsmanship equal to mine anywhere in the 7 kingdoms, I promise you. Visit every forge in King's Landing if you like, and compare for yourself. Any village smith can hammer out a shirt of mail. My work is art. Ned sipped his wine and let the man go on. The Knight of Flowers brought all his armor here, Tobo boasted, and many high lords. The Knight of Flowers is... Who's the Knight of Flowers? That feels like Renly. Renly? Mjolnir is great. The Chris knife. Is that what it's called? Loras Tyrell. Oh, that's right. Okay. The Knight of Flowers brought all his armor here, Tobo boasted, and many high lords, the ones who knew fine steel, even Lord Renly, the king's own brother. I wonder if they're going to be gay in the book. Or if that's a show contrivance. Perhaps the hand had seen Lord Renly's new armor, the green plate with the golden antlers. No other armor in the city could get that deep a green. He knew the secret of putting color into the steel itself. Paint and enamel were the crutches of a journeyman, or mayhaps the hand wanted a blade. Tobo had learned to work Valyrian steel at the forges of Qohor as a boy. Only a man who knew the spells could take old weapons and forge them anew. The direwolf was the sigil of House Stark. Is it not? I could fashion a direwolf helm so real that children will run from you in the streets, he vowed. Ned smiled. Did you make a falcon helm for Lord Aaron? Tobo Mott paused a long moment and set aside his wine. The hand did call upon me with Lord Stannis, the king's brother. I regret to say, they did not honor me with their patronage. Ned looked at the man evenly, saying nothing, waiting. He had found over the years that silence sometimes yielded more than questions. And so it was this time. So they asked to see the boy, the armorer said. So I took them back to the forge. The boy. Oh! The boy, Ned echoed. He had no notion who the boy might be. I should like to see the boy as well. Tobo Mott gave him a cool, careful look. As you wish, my lord, he said with no trace of his former friendliness. He led Ned out of a rear door and across the narrow yard, back to the cavernous stone barn where the work was done. When the armorer opened the door, a blast of hot air that came through made Ned feel as though he were talking to a dragon's mouth. That feels ominous. Inside, a forge blazed in each corner. The air stank of smoke and sulfur. Journeymen armorers glanced up from their hammers and tongs just long enough to wipe the sweat from their brows, while bare-chested apprentice boys worked with bellows. The master called over a tall lad about Rob's age, his arms and chest corded with muscle. This is Lord Stark, the new hand of the king, he told him as the boy looked at Ned through sullen blue eyes and pushed back sweat-soaked hair with his fingers. I thought, okay, there. I misread this sentence in my mind. Thick hair, shaggy, and unkempt, and black as ink. The shadows of a new beard darkened his jaw. This is Gendry, strong for his age, and he works hard. Show the hand that helmet you made, lad. Almost shyly, the boy led them to his bench, and a steel helm shaped like a bull's head with two great curving horns. Gendry, interesting. All right. Yeah, physical traits are the closest to DNA. I want to talk about that when we get there, when Ned actually figures that out. If it's going to be anything similar to the show, there's going to be some issues that I might have with it. But we'll get there when we get there. Ned turned the helm over in his hand. It was raw steel, unpolished, but expertly shaped. This is fine work. I would be pleased if you would let me buy it. The boy snatched it out of his hands. It's not for sale. Tubblemote looked horror-struck. Boy, this is the king's hand. If his lordship wants this helm, make him a gift of it. He honors you by asking. I made it for me, the boy said stubbornly. 100 pardons, my lord, his master said hurriedly to Ned. The boy is crude as new steel. Unlike new steel, would profit from some beating. That helm is journeyman's work at best. Forgive him, and I promise I will craft you a helm like none you have ever seen. He's done nothing that requires my forgiveness. Gendry, when Lord Aaron came to see you, what did you talk about? He asked me questions is all, my lord. What sorts of questions? The boy shrugged. How was I, and was I well treated? And if I liked the work, and stuff about my mother, who she was and what she looked like and all. What did you tell him? Ned asked. The boy shoved a fresh fall of black hair off his forehead. She died when I was little. She had yellow hair, and sometimes she used to sing to me, I remember. She worked in an alehouse. Interesting. Okay, she has yellow hair, so the Baratheon line, the Baratheon black hair is a dominant trait. Did Lord Stannis question you as well? Has anybody done, what are those little 4-quadrant things? What are those called? Has anyone done that with the Baratheons? Is Ned about to do that? Interesting. Did Lord Stannis question you as well? The bald one? No, not him. Never said no word, just glared at me. Like I was some raper who'd done for his daughter. Mind your filthy tongue, the master said. This is the king's own hand. The boy lowered his eyes. A smart boy, but stubborn. That helm. The others called him bullheaded, so he threw it in their teeth. Ned touched the boy's head, fingering the thick black hair. Look at me, Gendry. The apprentice lifted his face. Ned studied the shape of his jaw. The eyes like blue ice. Yes, he thought, I see it. Go back to your work, lad. I'm sorry to have bothered you. He walked back to the house with his master. Who paid the boy's apprentice fee? He asked lightly. Mott looked fretful. You saw the boy, such a strong boy, those hands of his. Those hands were made for hammers. He had such promise. I took him on without fee. The truth now, Ned urged. The streets are full of strong boys. The day you take on an apprentice without a fee will be the day the wall comes down. Who paid for him? A lord, the master said reluctantly. He gave no name and wore no sigil on his coat. He paid in gold, twice the customary sum, and said he was paying once for the boy and once for my silence. Describe him. He was stout, round of shoulder, not so tall as you, brown beard, but there was a bit of red in it, I'll swear. He wore a rich cloak, that I do remember, heavy purple velvet, worked with silver threads. but the hood shadowed his face, and I never did see him clear. He hesitated a moment. My lord, I want no trouble. Is that Robert? Not John Aaron. I really need to know descriptions of people to know who this is. Is that Bobby? None of us wants trouble, but I fear these are troubled times, Master Mott, Ned said. You know who the boy is. I'm only an armorer, my lord. I know what I'm told. I know who the boy is, Ned repeated patiently. That is not a question. The boy is my apprentice, the master said. He looked Ned in the eye, stubborn as old iron. Who was he before he came to me? That's none of my concern. He nodded. He decided that he liked Tobo Mott, master armorer. If the day ever comes when Gendry would rather wield a sword than forge one, send him to me. He has the look of a warrior. Until then, you have my thanks, Master Mott, and my promise. Shall I ever want a helm to frighten children, this will be the first place I visit. His guard was waiting outside with the horses. Did you find anything, my lord? Jax asked as Ned mounted up. I did, Ned told him, wondering. What had John Aaron wanted with a king's bastard? And why was it worth his life? Interesting. He was stout, round of shoulder, not so tall as you, brown beard, but there was a bit of red in it. The Baratheons have black hair? He wore a rich cloak that I do remember, heavy purple velvet worked with silver threads, but the hood shadowed his face and I never did see him clear. He hesitated a moment. My lord, I want no trouble. Who has a brown beard with a little bit of red in it? I mean, I do. Give me a second. I'm going to get some water. Need a little bit more water. Who dropped him off? It wasn't John Aaron, right? Who dropped him off? That's so bizarre. All right. Well, I'm going to think about that. Probably make a video about that. I don't know the character descriptions. One of the observers says about water, it hydrates you. It's true. Varys with a fake beard, maybe. But there's something about a beard being two different colors. Maybe that makes it more fake. I was going to say maybe it makes it less fake, but I don't know. Maybe that makes it more fake now because they just go to a barber shop and sweep up the clippings off of a floor and make a beard. Like a bad beard maker would make it just fully one color. A good beard maker would throw a few different colors in there. Who drops him off? That's so bizarre to me. Round of shoulder, not so tall as you. He was stout, round of shoulder. The two characters that I know that are stout and round of shoulder are Robert, Varys. That might be it. No, this is definitely a rhetorical question. I'm just kind of thinking. Salt and pepper would be, yeah. It would be. This is a really interesting. Does Robert not know about his bastard children? There's a lot of things that I just don't know. And it's weird piecing them together in my mind. It's just, I don't know what that would change. It would change my understanding of the characters. Like if Robert knows that he has a bunch of bastard children and he's taking care of them in this way, maybe he's better than I thought. Stout, round of shoulder, brown beard, but there was a bit of red in it. And he wears a rich cloak. Weird. Yeah, not enough information. I'm going to keep my eye out for someone with a little bit of red in his beard, because I guarantee you Ned's going to meet whoever this dude is, probably. And he's going to see a little bit of red in this guy's beard. Maybe during the tournament. That'd be kind of great. And then all of a sudden, I'm going to go, oh, that's the guy. Huh. It's also really interesting to me why Renly has a picture of Tyrell in this little locket thing. And he wanted Ned to look at it because he thought it looked like Lyanna. Like Marjorie looks like Lyanna. Interesting. Yeah, it's a good point. Easier to disguise as stout and round-shouldered than thin. Totally. Great point. So it could be anyone. Weird. I don't know if this is a disguise. It's really going to throw me off. The rich purple cloak. That's something that I got to keep an eye out for too. We just had a purple cloak with the storm, with the, what was it? The lightning across it. Which sigil was that? When the knight was riding in, and it described him as like wearing purple with, I guess, some kind of lightning going across or whatever. What's that sigil? What house is that? Do I need to know? Yeah, Robert doesn't care about the girls he's messing with, but does he care about the children that he's siring from these women? Maybe that was more of my question. It doesn't seem like it. Like, I don't think he does. Oh, that's Dondarrion. Interesting. That's Dondarrion. Okay. All right. Well, let's get to another chapter. This is the next chapter. This is the Catelyn chapter. Robert is taller than Ned in the books. Okay. Yeah, would he care about kids if he knew them? That's a great question. I don't know. All right, this is Catelyn. The next chapter. My lady, you ought to cover your head, Sir Roderick told her as their horses plodded north. You will take a chill. It is only water, Sir Roderick, Catelyn replied. And her hair hung wet and heavy. A loose strand stuck to her forehead. Excuse me. And she could imagine how ragged and wild she must look. For once, she did not care. The southern rain was soft and warm. Catelyn liked the feel of it on her face, gentle as a mother's kisses. It took her back to her childhood, to long gray days at Riverrun. She remembered the godswood, drooping branches heavy with moisture, the sound of her brother's laughter as he chased her through piles of damp leaves. She remembered making mud pies with Lysa, the weight of them, the mud slick and brown between her fingers. They had served them to Littlefinger, giggling, and he'd eaten so much mud he was sick for a week. Littlefinger, what a little turd. My dude is doing whatever it takes to get with Catelyn or Lysa. Whatever it takes, he will eat mud. That's hilarious. They had served them to Littlefinger, giggling, and he'd eaten so much mud he was sick for a week. How young they all had been. That's true. The Baratheons are really tall because the Laughing Storm was what, like 6'6"? Because he wasn't as tall as Sir Dunk, but he was a tall dude. And Robert was described as being like a towering menace on the battlefield with his battle axe. So taller than the Starks. Ooh, a Godswood. That would be a cool place to go in Westeros. Westeros seems dangerous. Catelyn had almost forgotten. In the north, the rain fell cold and hard, and sometimes at night it turned to ice. It was as likely to kill a crop as nurture it. And it sent grown men running for the nearest shelter. That was no rain for little girls to play in. I am soaked through, Sir Roger complained. Even my bones are wet. The woods pressed close around them, and the steady pattering of rain on leaves was accompanied by the small sucking sounds of their horses. Sucking sounds their horses made as their hooves pulled free of mud. We will want a fire tonight, my lady, and a hot meal would serve us both. There's an inn at the crossroads up ahead, Catelyn told him. She had slept many a night there in her youth, traveling with her father. Lord Hoster Tully has been a restless man at his prime, always riding somewhere. She still remembered the innkeep, a fat woman named Masha Hedel, who chewed sourleaf night and day, and seemed to have endless supply of smiles and sweet cakes for the children. The sweet cakes had been soaked with honey, rich and heavy on the tongue. But how Catelyn had dreaded those smiles. The sourleaf had stained Masha's teeth a dark red and made her smile a bloody horror. An inn, Sir Roderick repeated wistfully. If only, but we dare not risk it. If we wish to remain unknown, I think it best we seek out some small holdfast. He broke off as they heard sounds up the road, splashing water, the clink of mail, a horse's whinny. Riders, he warned, his hand dropping to the hilt of his sword. Even on the King's Road, it never hurts to be wary. They followed the sounds around a lazy bend in the road and saw them, a column of armed men, noisily fording a swollen stream. Catelyn reined up to let them pass. A banner in the hand of the foremost rider hung sodden and limp, but the guardsmen wore indigo cloaks. On their shoulders flew the silver eagle of Seaguard. Malisters, Sir Roderick whispered to her, as if she had not known. My lady, best pull up your hood. Malisters. Let me look this up on the map. Malisters. Seaguard. Isn't Seaguard in the north? Seaguard. It's in the Riverlands. Give me a map. Map of Westeros. Malisters are from the Reach, south of the Neck. They're from Seaguard and the Riverlands. Okay. Who are the Malisters again? Do I need to know them? Malisters, Seaguard. I'm guessing Seaguard is on the sea. Would that be a shock to say that the Seaguard is on the sea? Where is Seaguard? Not that I need to know this, but I always like looking at a map for a little bit. The Crag, Ashmark, River Run. I do chomp my pen. My pencil. On the Western Sea near the Iron Islands. I get the Crag, Castamere, Pike. Oh, there it is. Seaguard. It's a little further north than I thought. By the Twins. Interesting. Okay. Very interesting. Oh, the twins. Freaking losers live there. Okay, Seaguard, thank you. The Mallisters. I feel like they might be important. Maybe not. Catelyn made no move. Lord Jason Mallister himself rode with them, surrounded by his knights. His son, Patrick, by his side, and their squires close behind. They were riding for King's Landing in the Hand's tourney, she knew. For the past week, the travelers had been thick as flies upon the King's Road. Knights and free riders, singers with their harps and drums, heavy wagons laden with hops or corn or casks of honey, traders and craftsmen and whores, all of them moving south. She studied Lord Jason boldly. The last time she had seen him had been jesting. He had been jesting with her uncle at her wedding feast. The Mallisters stood bannerman to the Tullys, and his gift had been lavish. His brown hair was salted with white now, his face chiseled gaunt by the time. Yet the years had not touched his pride. He rode like a man who feared nothing. Catelyn envied him that she had come to fear so much. As the riders passed, Lord Jason nodded a curt greeting, but it was only a high lord's courtesy to a stranger chance met on the road. There was no recognition in those fierce eyes, and his son did not even waste a look. He did not know you, Sir Roderick said, after, wondering. He saw a pair of mud-spattered travelers by the side of the road, wet and tired. It would never occur to him to suspect that one of them was the daughter of his liege lord. I think we shall be safe enough at the inn, Sir Roderick. It was near dark when they reached it. At the crossroad north, the great confluence of the Trident, Marcia Heedle was fatter and grayer than Catelyn remembered, still chewing her sour loaf, but she gave them only the most cursory of looks with a nary hint of her ghastly red smile. 2 rooms at the top of the stairs, that's all there is, she said, chewing all the while. They're under the bell tower. You won't be missing meals, though there's some thinks it's too noisy, can't be helped. We're full up, or near as makes no matter. It's those rooms or the road. It was those rooms, low dusty garrets, at the top of the cramped narrow staircase. Leave your boots down there, Masha told him after she'd taken their coin. The boy will clean them. I won't have you tracking mud on my stairs. Mind the bell. Those who come late to meals don't eat. There were no smiles and no mention of sweet cakes. When the supper bell rang, the sound was deafening. Catelyn had changed into dry clothes. She sat by the window watching rain run down the pane. The glass was milky and full of bubbles, and a wet dusk was falling outside. Catelyn could just make out the muddy crossing where the 2 great roads met. The crossroad gave her a pause. If they turned west from here, it was an easy ride down to River Run. Her father had always given her wise counsel when she needed it most, and she yearned to talk to him, to warn him of the gathering storm. If Winterfell needed to brace for war, how much more so River Run, so much closer to King's Landing, with the power of Casterly Rock looming to the west like a shadow. If only her father had been stronger, she might have chanced it. But Hoster Tully had been bedridden these past 2 years, and Catelyn was loath to tax him now. The eastern road was wilder and more dangerous, climbing through rocky foothills and thick forests into the mountains of the moon, past high passes and deep chasms to the valley of Arryn, and the stony fingers beyond. Above the vale, the Eyrie stood high and impregnable, its towers reaching the sky. There she would find her sister and perhaps some of the answers Ned sought. Surely Lysa knew more than she had dared to put in her letters. She might have the very proof that Ned needed to bring the Lannisters to ruin, and if it came to war, they would need the Arryns and the Middle East and the Eastern lords who owed them service. Yet the mountain pass was perilous. Shadow cats prowled those passes. Rock slides were common, and the mountain clans were lawless brigands, descending from the heights to rob and kill, and melting away like snow whenever the knights rode out from the vale in search of them. Even Jon Arryn, as great a lord as any the Eyrie had had always traveled in strength when he crossed the mountains. Catelyn's only strength was one elderly knight, armored in loyalty. Interesting. That's like they feel a little bit like the Woses in real life. It's kind of a cool description of them. No, she thought. Riverrun and the Eyrie would have to wait. Her path ran north to Winterfell, where her sons and her duty were waiting for her. As soon as they were safely past the neck, she could declare herself to be one of Ned's bannermen and send riders racing ahead with orders to mount a watch on the King's Road. The rain obscured the fields beyond the crossroads, but Catelyn saw the lands clear enough in her memory. The marketplace was just across the way, and the village a mile further on. 100 white cottages surrounding a small stone sept. There would be more now. The summer had been long and peaceful. North of here, the King's Road ran along the green fork of the Trident, through fertile valleys and green woodlands, past thriving towns and stout holdfasts, and the castles of the river lords. Catelyn knew them all. The Blackwoods and the Brackens, ever enemies whose quarrels her father was obliged to settle. Lady Went, last of her line, who dwelt with her ghosts in the cavernous vaults of Harrenhal. Lady Went, is that what's the one girl's name in House of the Dragon? Is that a Went? I'd be so curious to know if that's a Went. That's Alice Rivers? Okay, bummer. Lady Went is a tragic character. Interesting. I'm curious to know more about her. She was one of my favorite characters in season 2 of House of the Dragon. The Wents hold Harrenhal right now, okay. Same family? Cool. That's kind of cool. I like that. Where am I? Catelyn saw the rain obscured. Where am I? Oh, there it is. Lady who dwelt in the cavernous vaults of Harrenhal. Irascible Lord Frey, who had outlived 7 wives and filled his twin castles with children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren, and bastards and great and grand-bastards as well. All of them were bannermen to the Tullys, their swords sworn to the service of Riverrun. Catelyn wondered if that would be enough if it came to war. Her father was the staunchest man who had ever lived, and she had no doubt that he would call his banners. But would the banners come? The Daenerys and the Rygers and Maughtons had sworn oaths to Riverrun as well, yet they had fought with Rhaegar Targaryen on the Trident, while Lord Frey had arrived with his levies well after the battle was over, leaving some doubt as to which army he had planned to join. I mean, it's a smart move to keep your house alive, but also pretty cowardly. Rivers. Okay, interesting. That means she's a little bastard. Oh, that's kind of crazy. That's cool. Thank you. Thanks for the little insight. Yes, gonna go on to book 2. This whole channel is just gonna be me reading through this. It's gonna take a year or 2, but we'll get through it eventually. Theirs, he had assured the victor solemnly in the aftermath, but ever after her father had called him the late Lord Frey. It must not come to war, Catelyn thought fervently. They must not let it. Sir Roderick came to her just as the bell ceased its clangor. We had best make haste if we hope to eat tonight, my lady. It might be safer if we were not knight and lady until we pass the neck, she told him. Common travelers attract less notice. A father and daughter taken on the road on some family business, say. As you say, my lady, Sir Roderick agreed. It was only when she laughed that he realized what he'd done. The old courtesies died hard. My daughter. He tried to tug on his missing whiskers and sighed with his exasperation. Catelyn took his arm. Come, father, she said. You'll find that Masha Heedle sets a good table, I think. But try not to praise her. You truly don't want to see her smile. The common room was long and draughty, with a row of huge wooden kegs at one end and a fireplace at the other. A serving boy ran back and forth with skewers of meat while Masha drew beer from the kegs, chewing her sour leaf all the while. I need some water. My throat. Yeah, the late Lord Frey is such a good little nickname. It's like one of my favorite nicknames so far in these books. It's great. The benches were crowded. Excuse me. Townsfolk and farmers mingling freely with all manners of travelers. The crossroads made for odd companions. Dyers with black and purple hands shared a bench with a riverman of reeking with fish. An ironsmith, thick and muscle squeezed in beside a wizened old septon. Hard bitten sellswords and soft plump merchants swapped news like boon companions. The company included more swords than Catelyn would have liked. 3 by the fire were the red stallion badge of the Brackens, and there was a large party in blue steel ringmail and capes of silver grey. On their shoulder was another familiar sigil, the twin towers of House Frey. She studied their faces, but they were all too young to have known her. The senior among them would have been no older than Bran when she went north. Sir Roderick found them an empty place, on the bench near the kitchen. Across the table, a handsome youth was fingering a wood harp. 7 blessings to you, good folk, he said as they sat. An empty wine cup stood on the table before him. And to you, singer, Catelyn returned. Sir Roderick called for bread and meat and beer in a tone that meant now. The singer, a youth of some 18 years, eyed them boldly and asked where they were going and from whence they had come, and what news they had, letting the questions fly as quick as arrows and never pausing for an answer. We left King's Landing a fortnight ago, Catelyn replied, answering the safest of the questions. I feel like she shouldn't answer any of the questions, but that's just me. That's where I'm bound, the youth said. As she had expected, he was more interested in telling his own story than in hearing theirs. Singers loved nothing half so well as the sound of their own voices. The hands tourney means rich lords with fat purses. The last time I came away with more silver than I could carry, or would have if I hadn't lost it all betting on the Kingslayer to win the day. Interesting. The gods frown on the gambler, Sir Roderick said sternly. He was of the north and shared the Stark views on the tournaments. They frowned on me for certain, the singer said. Your cruel gods and the Night of Flowers altogether did me in. No doubt that was a lesson for you, Sir Roderick said. It was. This time my coin will champion Sir Loras. Sir Roderick tried to tug at whiskers that were not there, but before he could frame a rebuke, the serving boy came scurrying up. He laid trenchers of bread before them and filled them with chunks of browned meat off a skewer, dripping with hot juice. Another skewer held tiny onions, fire peppers, and fat mushrooms. Sir Roderick set to lustily as the lad ran back to fetch them beer. My name is Merlian, the singer said, plucking a string on the wood harp. Doubtless you heard me play somewhere. His manners made Catelyn smile. Few wandering singers ever ventured far north as Winterfell, but she knew his like from her girlhood and Riverrun. I fear not, she told him. He drew a plaintive chord from the wood harp. That is your loss, he said. Who was the finest singer you've ever heard? Alia of Bravo, Sir Roderick answered at once. Oh, I'm much better than that old stick, Merlian said. If you have the silver for a song, I'll gladly show you. I might have a copper or two, but I'd sooner toss it down a well than pay for your howling, Sir Roderick groused. His opinion of singers was well known, Music was a lovely thing for girls, but he could not comprehend why any healthy boy would fill his hand with a harp when he might have a sword. Your grandfather has a sour nature, Merlin said to Catelyn. I meant to do you an honor, an homage to your beauty. In truth, I was made to sing for kings and high lords. Oh, I can see that, Catelyn said. Lord Tully is fond of song, I hear. No doubt you've been to Riverrun. 100 times, the singer said airily. They keep a chamber for me, and the young lord is like my brother. Catelyn smiled, wondering what Edmure would think of that. Another singer had once bedded a girl, and her brother a girl her brother fancied. He had hated that breed ever since. And Winterfell? She asked him. Have you traveled north? Why would I? Merlin asked. It's all blizzards and bearskins up there, and the Starks know no music but the howling of wolves. Distantly, she was aware of the door banging open at the far end of the room. Innkeep, a servant's voice called out behind. We have horses that want stabling, and my Lord of Lannister requires a room and a hot bath. Dang, they're meeting! Uh-oh. Oh, gods, Sir Roderick said before Catelyn reached out to silence him, her fingers tightening hard round his forearm. Masha Hedel was bowing and smiling her hideous red smile. I'm sorry, my lord. Truly, we're full up, every room. There were 4 of them, Catelyn saw. An old man in the black, in the black of Night's Watch. 2 servants and him, standing there small and bold as life. My men will sleep in your stables, and as for myself, well, I do not require a large room, as you can plainly see. He flashed a mocking grin. So long as the fire is warm and the straw reasonably free of fleas, I am a happy man. Vermilion. What am I saying it like? Yeah, the drinking game for me saying interesting every single time. Everyone would be drunk by the end. Drink some water every time I do that. Marcia Hedel was beside herself. My lord, there's nothing. It's the tourney. There's no help for it. Oh. Tyrion Lannister pulled a coin from his purse and flicked it up over his head, caught it, and tossed it again. Even across the room where Catelyn sat, the wink of gold was unmistakable. A free rider in a faded blue cloak lurched to his feet. You're welcome to my room, my lord. Now there's a clever man, Lannister said as he set the coins spinning across the room. The free rider snatched it from the air, and a nimble one to boot. The dwarf turned back to Masha Hedel. You will be able to manage food, I trust. Anything you like, my lord, anything at all, the innkeep promised. And he may choke on it, Catelyn thought. But it was Bran she saw choking, drowning on his own blood. Lannister glanced at the nearest tables. My men will have whatever you're serving these people, double portions. We've had a long, hard ride. I'll take a roast fowl, chicken, duck, pigeon, and it makes no matter. And send up a flagon of your best wine. Yoren, will you sup with me? Aye, my lord, I will, the black brother replied. The dwarf had not so much as glanced toward the far end of the room, and Catelyn was thinking how grateful she was for the crowded benches between them when suddenly Marillion bounded to his feet. My lord of Lannister, he called out, I would be pleased to entertain you while you eat. Let me sing to you the lay of your father's great victories at King's Landing. Nothing would be more likely to ruin my supper, the dwarf said dryly. His mismatched eyes considered the singer briefly, started to move away, and found Catelyn. He looked at her for a moment, puzzled. She turned her face away, but too late. The dwarf was smiling. Lady Stark, what an unexpected pleasure, he said. I was sorry to miss you at Winterfell. Interesting. Marillion gaped at her, confusion giving way to chagrin as Catelyn rose slowly to her feet. She heard Sir Roderick curse. If only the man had lingered at the wall, she thought. If only. Lady Stark? Masha Hedel said thickly. I was still Catelyn Tully the last time I bedded here, she told the innkeep. She could hear the muttering, feel the eyes upon her. Catelyn glanced around the room at the faces and the knights and sworn swords. and took a deep breath to slow the frantic beating of her heart. Did she dare take the risk? There was no time to think it through. Only the moment and the sound of her own voice ringing in her ears. "You in the corner," she said to the older man she had not noticed until now. "Is that the black bat of Harrenhal I see embroidered on your surcoat, sir?" The man got to his feet. "It is, my lady." "And his lady went a true and honest friend to my father, Lord Hoster Tully of Riverrun." "She is," the man replied stoutly. Sir Roderick rose quietly and loosened his sword in its scabbard. The dwarf was blinking at them, blank-faced, with puzzlement in his mismatched eyes. "The red stallion was ever a welcome sight in Riverrun," she said to the trio by the fire. "My father counts Janos Bracken among his oldest and most loyal bannermen." The three men at arms exchanged uncertain looks. "Our lord is honored by his trust," one of them said hesitantly. "I envy your father for all these fine friends," Lannister quipped. "But I do not quite see the purpose of this, Lady Stark." She ignored him, turning to the large party in blue and gray. They were the heart of the matter. They were more than 20 of them. "I know your sigil as well, the twin towers of Frey. How fares your good lord, sir?" Their captains rose. "Lord Walder is well, my lady. He plans to take a new wife on his 90th name day." The late Lord, what's his name? The late Lord Tully? The late Lord Frey. Hoster Tully? Hoster Tully. The late Lord Hoster Tully. Yeah, they just said it. Or Walder Tully. No, or Walder Frey. Gosh, why can't I remember names? It's right in front of me. "He plans to take a new wife on his 90th day, and he's asked your Lord Father to honor the wedding with his presence." Tyrion Lannister sniggered. That was when Catelyn knew he was hers. "This man came a guest into my house, and they are conspired to murder my son, a boy of 7, she proclaimed to the room at large, pointing. Sir Roderick moved to her side, his sword in hand. "In the name of King Robert and the good lords you serve, I call upon you to seize him and help me in returning him to Winterfell to await the king's justice." She did not know what was more satisfying, the sound of a dozen swords drawn as one, or the look on Tyrion Lannister's face. Taking matters into her own hands. She's got to chill out a little bit. All right, so here comes the action. I mean, she was kind of propelled into action because Tyrion saw her, but still, she could have gotten in a conversation with him, gotten more information. I feel like this book is going to be a lot of people who lack, patience. They want to get things done. They think they are the ones that are right, and they're just going to go in guns a-blazing. There's not going to be, there's not like any sense of justice in these books. Maybe that's some of the things that people get frustrated about these books. There is a sense of justice. People have justice, obviously, good justice. But like, there's not like a good justice system. Like, trial by combat is just dumb. Trial by the 7 is dumb. Just a normal trial is dumb because it's all about your name. I mean, it's the same thing as us. It's pretty much all about your name, your background, your socioeconomic qualities. I mean, we're no different. This is Westeros here. Yeah, she didn't have a better alternative. I will kind of say that you're kind of right about that. Although I think her alternative is calming down and getting in a conversation with Tyrion and asking him questions about the whole thing. Try to get to the bottom of the matter. Don't act in rashness here. You got to act in a little bit more wisdom, which is easier said than done. I would probably do the same if I was in her stead. This is not justice. This is revenge. What she's doing is vengeful. And I think the idea of this, like towing the line between those two, is a little interesting. Yeah, she is doing what she thinks is right. Totally. But they're basing it off of one terrible, maybe not terrible. They're basing it off of like a sword that this guy went and tried to kill him with, the little dagger. Like, that's not a good mode of evidence. She's doing what she thinks is right, but I feel like that's going to be a big issue. Everyone is going to do what's right in their own eyes, which is going to be anarchy. Maybe I'll do an essay about that or something. It is a good point, though, Nemo, that like she is doing what she thinks is right. In there, because it's interesting too. Like when we're with people in Lord of the Rings, like all of them have a collective sense of justice. Like they just know right and wrong. This one, it's like a little bit more nuanced and gray, as most people say. But it still has that like sense of justice. You're just not sure who's the proper one in this justice realm. Like it's not just most people are good and there's a few people who are evil. There's no justice and mercy has been twisted into justifying murder. The only who is to act the right choice until you can't and get removed from the game. To wait the king's justice. Not a great system at all. That is true. To wait the king's justice, that's a great point. When you're seeing the author's values transcending into his work. That's why there's no justice here. I wouldn't say that there's no justice here. I do think that there is justice somewhere in this world. But like, there's only a few people who hold it. Like, honestly, Ned is one of those characters who does have justice somewhat. I mean, no justice system is perfect. Lord of the Rings is a depiction of, like, too good of justice. She's convinced of being right when she's so wrong. Totally self-assured, self-righteous. I like that. She's basing on the word of Littlefinger. We know it's a bad idea, but she remembers him as a child and his fondness of her. I wonder how much chaos and suffering he's ultimately responsible for. Everything so far. What is justice? It's a good question. It's a really good question, actually. It is, yeah, there's a lot of fascinating things that are going on in this. For what the idea of justice in this book. It really does feel like a lot of people are doing what's right in their own eyes. And then we have people that we root for based on what we believe about their rightness or their wrongness. Like, a lot of this does come down to intentionality. Like, are people intentionally trying to harm people or not? People that we think are intentionally trying to harm people, we don't like. There's a little bit of a sense of justice in that. There's something behind that. I don't know what, but there's something behind that. It's an interesting question. It's abstract. Too abstract for me right now. But Catelyn is just basing this on too little. That's all I mean. Just on a knife, like you have to base your justice on more than just a knife, on just a blade. Yeah, I guess arresting to some extent, yeah. But it's a little different from arresting. It's like a little bit more threatening. To await the king's justice. That's true. She is trusting in the judicial system, even if the judicial system isn't perfect. And honestly, she's doing what she probably should do. Now, I'm changing my mind now. She's doing what she should do because she has facts and she shouldn't be the one that investigates these facts. There should be other people. There should be a trial that investigates these facts. I'm just assuming that the trial might not be good. But she has these facts, and so she rightfully probably arrests him under suspicion of murder. Potential murder. Manslaughter? What would this be? This is manslaughter. Over attempted murder? So she has like rightful information here. And yeah, a little arrest is decent here because now it's up to the judicial system to determine if he's guilty or innocent. It's a good point. Honestly, it's a good point. I gotta rethink that now. Yeah, probable cause. I still kind of think that she's doing what she deems is right. Like she's not playing a Game of Thrones that well. Like there needs to be a bit more subtlety with something like this. I think one of the biggest themes of this book at the moment that I'm gonna keep going back to is just like patience. I don't know if people can have patience in this book because like everything does seem immediate, but like I think being patient in sometimes letting things play out, letting someone actually get to the facts of the matter. It's a huge thing to just have patience and let things kind of be, to not take matters into your own hands, but let things play out. I feel like the patient people are going to be the ones that are kind of good in, not good. The patient people are going to be the survivors in this book. Like Lord Walder Frey is a patient dude. And he survived for how long? For however many faults and terribleness of that guy. He's patient. He gets called out to go to a battle and abandonment, and his patient goes, all right, you guys go out now. And then they get there after the battle. Don't know who to pledge their swords to. It's a nasty move. It's a cowardly move, but it's kind of a wise move. Otherwise, your house is going to get wiped out. Like his house is about survival. I'm so interested to talk about that more when we get to those sections with the twins and the phrase. Interesting stuff. Interesting stuff going on right now. All right, guys, I'm going to jump off. Thanks for joining for the reading. I'm probably going to read a few more chapters on my own, and then we'll keep picking it up as we go. Maybe like every few chapters, we'll just do a live read. Every like 4 or 5 chapters. That's the plan now. But if there's any good chapters, yeah, actually, talk to me right now. What are the good chapters coming up? So we have, I think, another Eddard chapter after this. Or Sansa. Sansa's chapter coming up after this. Then an Eddard chapter. And then a Catelyn chapter. Or no, a Tyrion chapter. Maybe I'll pick it up there, the Tyrion. Tyrion and Arya. Maybe in 2, I'll read 2 on my own and then do 2 live read. We'll figure it out. I would love to read all of them, but I don't have time. I just need more time in the day. If I had 2 24-hour days squished into 1 24-hour day, then I'd be good. Just don't have time. All right, guys. I'll see you in the next one. I'll publish a few more videos here and there as I can. And I'll see you guys later. Have a good one.